Hello and welcome to the Bronze Age Monsters bonus show. This is a show we make each and every week for our loyal patrons. We watch a movie every week with our patrons on Discord. This week we watched Scarecrows from 1988, directed by William Wesley. We watched this because in our main show, we went through Dead of Night 11, which was the introduction of the Scarecrow. And we loved it, and I'm really glad we got to watch this movie too, which was super fun. We've had an entire week of Scarecrow fun. Really, really cool. So, Matt, I had never heard of this before. You hadn't seen it either, correct?
I'd seen bits and pieces of it. So I was very familiar with the VHS box. I remember seeing it in the day back when I used to rent horror movies as a teen, but I'd never watched it. But no, I'd seen chunks of it on like Comet TV or something like some kind of antenna TV way after antenna, wasn't cool. So I'd seen pieces of it and I knew the general gist of the plot. So I knew enough to know that I wanted to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, this was actually, Jacob, filmed in 85. And it was in kind of limbo on the shelf for a while. And then the distributor, Manson International Pictures, went bankrupt. And so I think the rights reverted back to the producers and the investors, and they released it directly to video in 88. So it was kind of old by the time it came out.
Wow, that's crazy. So, just broadly, it's about these criminals rob some kind of, is it a fort?
Yeah, Camp Pendleton.
Camp Pendleton, that's right. They hijack a plane and kind of force the pilot and his daughter. They want to fly to Mexico. That's the plan. But one of the robbers gets it in his head to just take all the money and parachute out. And so they turn around, land the plane, go and try and find him, and that's when our movie takes off.
Yeah, so they end up landing essentially in a cornfield, and there is a ramshackle house that is extremely run down and creepy looking, and a bunch of scarecrows all around the house on crosses. And this, I did particularly like the setting. I like this idea. First of all, that house, they rented that for, I think, $250 a week. They filmed this thing over 3 weeks. That was the house. They didn't do anything to it. Like, it was... I mean, it is the most. It looks like Leatherface's house, sort of, but with less charm.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this in the watch along, but it seemed like they were trying to, like, one of the creepy things that people point out about Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that when the people are approaching that house, and you see this white house standing all alone in this field in Texas, and there's just a generator running outside. There's some kind of weird dread that is developed by the sound of this Jenny just running outside of a house in the middle of nowhere. And I felt like they were trying to reference that a little bit here and there.
A little bit.
So this is very 80s, right? Like the whole idea of like a paramilitary, an elite team of paramilitary people doing something, bad or good, just felt very in the air in the 80s. Like something about the Reagan era was like glorifying like the military and all of our military exercises and whatever else. So this was just like, we were primed for this type of thing. But I like the idea of like this team like plotting this huge $3 million heist and then just splitting for Baja or wherever they were going, right? But so they end up landing in this farm that was formerly occupied by the Fowlers. We see their photograph hanging in the black and white photo of them hanging in the house. It's the father and two sons shown. We basically developed a drinking game around whenever it's shown in a shot prominently featured. It's alluded to that these people are weird and they practice black magic, and there's something spooky in this area. And so this whole thing kind of plays out with them looking for Bert, the guy who took the money and parachuted out of the plane, screwing his team over, them trying to hunt him down, find the money, recover that, and get back to the plane. And that is the entire plot of the film. So it plays out in a very small setting. One of those kind of, which I always like these kind of stories like this, right? Where it's just like one situation, it's virtually real time. I mean, there's cuts for time, whatever, but it feels like it takes place over the course of a few hours, and the movie's like an hour and 26 minutes or whatever. So one thing that I kind of had an issue with when I mentioned this on the watch along was like they all have the headsets on because they're an elite paramilitary team. So there's a lot of that VO with the compression set on it to make it sound like it's a telephone. And it's them squawking back and forth, like, yeah, you know, this guy took our money. Yeah, we're going to get him and make him pay, blah, blah. A bunch of, to me, felt like it was recorded after the fact to cover dead space and just like radio chatter, which to me felt like a salvagey kind of thing. Like to cover up some dead spaces in the audio and whatever. And people famously love just hearing radio chatter. You know,
well, yeah, in a horror movie,
trucker. Why would you want to hear people just fucking yammer on the radio?
Yeah, but that was the most hilarious thing, is that so much exposition was done as the radio newscast is how he's credited, but the newscaster on the radio is Don Herbert. That's Mr. Wizard.
Mr. fucking Wizard.
For 40 years, this guy made fucking volcanoes and science projects and
get
shit.
the egg into the Coke bottle, like
that's
all
right.
Those things.
Yeah, and so when you hear it, and it's a large part of the first 5 minutes of the movie, is like everyone's listening to the radio, and yeah, and so you get to hear this guy's voice a lot, just basically explain, give you everything you need up to this moment. It's hilarious.
Yeah, this was all filmed in Florida, by the way. And I just surprised Jacob with the fact before we started rolling here that the cinematographer was Peter Dimming. Again, this was filmed in '85. He went on to film Evil Dead 2, a much beloved splatter horror comedy. But he had quite a career. He also shot My Cousin Vinny. He shot the first Austin Powers film, and he filmed what is probably both of our shared favorite movie of all time, Mulholland Drive. David Lynch's Mulholland Drive was filmed by the guy that made Scarecrows.
That doesn't. What kind of world? What a world!
What a world! Yeah, the guy has Peter Dimming. He has quite a career. If you want to look him up. So one of the producers of this film was the bald cigar chomping character named Corbin. Ted Vernon played him, and he was a producer. So yeah, he got involved. Actually, quite an interesting history of this whole thing on Wikipedia. If you want to look up Scarecrows 1988, a lot of interesting backstory and on how this was filmed. But we're gonna keep this a little short tonight. Talk about what worked and what didn't work for us. I thought the special effects sequences, the kill scenes, which I'm as a horror fan, I'm more of a supernatural. I like creepy and eerie and unsettling more than slasher gore or whatever. So even saying kill scenes or kill count or whatever just is not in my nature at all. But it's what we're dealing with here. So I thought that all the kill scenes were incredibly pretty violent and pretty creative. The budget was very low for this. I think they said it was like $5,000 for all of those special effects.
Oh my God, they look great.
Yeah, they look great. And every one was like inventive and strange and unsettling. Severed heads.
Wow.
You get the sense that these black magic animated scarecrows are like taking their victims and like chopping them up and like making new scarecrows out of them. And
yeah, because they are.
it's fucking creepy. Yeah. There's some creepy stuff. So that worked for me really well. The design of the scarecrows, the way they looked, their scenes when they acted were really, really cool. I love those. What was your favorite parts?
Well, that especially the effects. I don't know. I did like the whole, like, you're right. This is the 80s. A lot of this was like the Contra video game come to life in a lot of ways. like yeah, these guys were, they went and they robbed this camp. They did this $1 million heist, but it looked like they were going to go fight the Sandinistas, and which was hilarious to me. But no, the special effects, the eerie factor, the scarecrow design was really, really good. Basically everything that you said, is great. I liked all of the actors for better or worse. I thought they were great. There's a great, what we like to call Kroger brand, Denise Richards there. That was really cool.
Yep.
What was her name? Her name is Victoria Christian.
Yes.
And,
as Kelly.
And she was great. Like, she was super great. And it was very entertaining in a real 80s way. The women in this movie were super entertaining.
Yes, I agree. The one female member of the heist team is Christina Sanborn. She played Roxanne. We were really enjoying the fact that she had mid '80s hair, like teased up and hair sprayed out, and yeah, which would not have worked well with like stress sweat and I don't know, like being chased by killer scarecrows. Like you wouldn't maintain that cool David Coverdale kind of hairstyle throughout this entire
I
evening
know.
of being stalked and murdered by
Yeah.
mystical scarecrows. I don't know. Yeah, the one of the guys, like I think he was the leader. His name was Curry. He was played by Michael David Sims. I looked him up, and he has a ton of credits, stuff you've seen. Like, he was a recurring character in the X Files. I don't know if he played lead FBI agent, the same agent all the time, or just five different like FBI agents and five unrelated
Really?
episodes. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
he was in that. A bunch of other stuff. Somebody thought that he was um, Joe Pilato from Day of the Dead, but that's not him. But it's similar kind of look. He looked to me like Earth 2 Frankie Valley, like if he
Oh
like
yeah,
crime or something. I don't know.
yeah.
I liked him a lot for some reason. I thought he was pretty good. Um, yeah. So I guess for what didn't work for me was the pacing felt a little off. I felt this. I don't know if it was padded for time as much as it was just like again that radio chatter. Just every once in a while, like they would do things like have voices that seemed to be coming over the radio, but you couldn't tell if that was magic and the scarecrow's getting in your head and fucking with you. That kind of worked, but like just a bunch of like that kind of thing you get in where you're in a small space and you're trying to have people not run into each other a whole bunch. And so you just kind of get into a weird, like, well, I'm going over to this side of the property. I'm going to go over here and, okay, don't come over here yet. Okay. Oh boy, like just that stuff.
I know.
It felt a little whatever. Like, I feel like if it had another pass on the screenplay and like someone like really inspired and talented came in and just like, good idea here, good stuff, good features, good special effects. Let's just kind of tighten the script up and like add one more layer or something, or remove some
Mhm.
of the exposition and have it be even more mysterious and sinister. Would have worked a little bit better for me.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I mean, this is a goofy B movie. There were highlights to it. I think like obviously the effects and the tone and feel of the movie was really good. Script was not great. I mean, you don't expect the script to be great in a film like this, but it wasn't as it was the weakest link because the other stuff was pretty good.
Yeah, and a lot of the dialogue felt a little stilted to me as well. Like a little more naturalistic delivery of some of the or writing for some of the lines would have probably been a little bit better for me as well. Just
Mhm.
some of it felt like I made that joke. Like some of it felt like it was like Resident Evil was about to start, like the full motion video cutscenes of like, you know, some of it felt like that level. But like, you know, looking at the critical response on here, like this thing has quite a bit of respect from a lot of places. Like allmovie.com said tightly paced and consistently tense, low budget, slick production values. Like everyone just kind of says like you can see the limitations of the budget and the limitations of the actor's talent, but solid little horror movie.
It really is. I mean, I think it's yeah, you're right. It's like it has a low IMDb rating, but if you go through all of the listings, like all the reviews are just like, okay, this is good. I love this. This is why.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're very detailed and really like good reviews. Like it should be way higher reviewed than it is. Star rating. It's at a 5.3.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, look up The Lighthouse. Look up like any horror movie, any genre films, horror and comedy. Like I've noticed this a lot with like Rotten Tomatoes and the rise of all these like sites like this. Like genre films and things that are like very subjective, like laughing and being scared, just tend to be driven down by like the loudest voice saying, "That was dumb. That was stupid."
Yeah.
You know, like I didn't laugh. I wasn't scared. Like, okay, did you appreciate the craft at all? Did you like anything about it? Like, what did you like? Like,
No,
I just feel like the genre films get hammered in reviews.
that's pretty accurate, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. What did you think?
Club for me,
Yeah.
I loved it.
I liked it. Again, I I do have some issues with it. I'm not gonna pretend like it's all rosy, but I would recommend it. I mean, the thumb up is a recommendation. So
I would absolutely recommend it. It was super fun.
cool. Yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to do in a couple of weeks when we come back to the Scarecrow, but I have a couple things. One was a TV movie called Dark Night of the Scarecrow that absolutely scarred me. It aired on Halloween night in 1981, and I remember going to church the next day and like being in like Sunday school or whatever, and like hiding under the table, like hiding under the table, but just kind of like being apart from the rest of the kids and just kind of working through it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
So,
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So we might watch that. We might watch something more modern. I don't know. Thought we could mix it up.
Okay.
Something came out like last year called Dark Harvest that sounded interesting, and I think we could probably get a hold of it and watch it. So that might be kind of fun to watch something new. Like
Yeah, how much for that?
Purposes. Cool. Yeah. For our next movie, though, we're going to be watching, to be paired with Marvel Chillers #1, the introduction of Mordred the Mystic. We're going to be watching Dr. Mordred, which was a Full Moon Features film they made. They had a deal with Marvel. They'd licensed the rights to Doctor Strange. We're working on a B movie, Doctor Strange, starring Jeffrey Combs, the famous actor from Reanimator and From Beyond. And those rights reverted back to Marvel after a certain amount of time. And Full Moon said, fuck it, let's just change his name and just make a Doctor Strange movie without Doctor Strange. And so we're going to be watching that. And I'm super excited. I've never seen it. I fucking love Jeffrey Combs. I love Full Moon and Empire Pictures, their earlier iteration in the 80s, Trancers, Reanimator, all that stuff they did. Super fun B movies, like just
yeah, they are
highly entertaining. So I can't wait to watch this.
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah, and if you guys want to join us, we'll be doing that on the Discord, and you can go there and check it out. We'd love to have you there.
Definitely. So yeah, Matt, if you keep watching, you're going to see a really big surprise that Matt and I have in store for you. So let's just jump right to that. So you're in for a treat. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Banes to ward off evil entities.
See, Mr. Wizard, how do you get the litmus paper to turn blue?
Same way I get the egg into the Coke bottle, bitch.